We Love Gaming presents a duality review of The Last of Us 2. Enjoy.
I love gaming.
All right, so yeah, The Last of Us 2.
Right.
So we finally finished that up. We're getting to this review. So it's about time. Better late than never, right? But Sir Knight, how'd you feel about the storyline for The Last of Us 2?
So the storyline has a little bit of a love-hate relationship with me, right?
Okay.
Like there are some things that I absolutely love about the Last of Us story.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is not the story they told, but how they told the story.
Okay.
I really, really loved how they told it. They are so incredibly detailed with their storytelling. Every little thing means something. Every little stop at every stop sign to read an image, or every little note you pick up to read, all means something, and it's all significant, and it's all weighty, and it's interesting. I want to read it. I want to dig deeper into this world, and like even the buildings, right? You walk into a building, and the way it was broken down, sometimes I would just stop and stare. I'm like, man, I wonder how that happened, right? Or how did this occur? Or what took place here to cause this event, right? Like it's so rich with detail, the story, that I think it does it. I think Naughty Dog tells stories in video games better than anyone else does. And I think this game does that as well. But the problems with the story are the narrative, right? For me, like some of the points they made throughout the story, and I'm going to try to be as spoiler free as I can.
Right.
But some of the characters and their relationships fell flat for me. They weren't as deep or meaningful as Ellie and Joel's was back in The Last of Us 2. Like,
Right.
I cared so much about Ellie and Joel. Like, I cared so deeply about them. They felt real to me. Felt like I knew them. This time around, with some of the characters, I don't feel that way. And then some of the narrative choices and what they did, I think fell flat as well, without giving anything away. I think some of the choices they've made with some of the characters, I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about, they fell flat. And so because of that, there's a little bit of a knock, but it doesn't tarnish the game as a whole for me. And I still had an absolute blast digging into this world, exploring it, walking around in it, picking things up, looking at everything. The way that they commented everything as you walk by, and it's very organic in the game, right? You don't have to have a cutscene. It's just as you're walking by, they're talking about it, they're gleaming information, they're commenting things that you would probably say if you were walking through that same exact area. So I love the organic nature of it. I had a blast with that part of the story. But what about you?
Right. Yeah. I feel the same way you do about that. I felt like the story was definitely told in great detail.
Right.
I liked how, you could find like a little body somewhere that's, all decrepit and whatnot and decayed. And then it's got like a little letter tucked into its pocket.
Yeah.
And it was like a note that he wrote to his girlfriend or something like that, telling him that he was going to make it to someplace. There were some that like, there were actually like mini storylines within the story of the game, where you see like Jeff, who's been on like a journey and you've been kind of following his steps and whatnot.
It continues. You're right.
Yeah. And so you're
right.
like, oh damn, dude's still alive, but it's like,
he made it here.
Yeah,
he made it here. I wonder how far he made it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get to his body and it's like, oh, he's out or whatever, and he got caught by something crazy or whatnot. So I definitely loved that. It made me want to explore a large majority of nooks and crannies. There were some where I came up empty-handed, you know what I mean? It's just, lush greenery over there on the side. But there were a lot of times where I was rewarded, for looking, in that little alcove or, dipping in between this crack of a rock or something like that, and finding something back there. So, I just like that. Once again, Naughty Dog has come through for us with, the dynamic storytelling through the characters, as they interact with each other and kind of filling you in on backspace. They did a lot of filling you in with how things happened, in the beginning and then in the end and things like that. So, that stuff was cool. But, I've always enjoyed the world. The first Last of Us game was just great at observing the world, and I felt like they did it again, you know what I mean? And I just loved how you'd go into like an office or something like that, and you're like, oh, there's a safe, so like I gotta find the combo or something, and then the combo is something like a Wi-Fi password, or like the name of a dog, or the year of a dog being born, or something like that, and you just look around and you're like, oh dang, yeah, there it is. You just gotta you gotta open your eyes just a little bit more, and you'll find it, or you'll be like, oh, that's weird to have this here, and then you just like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention to this, and then you get to it, and you'll find out, oh, this is actually useful. And I just like that they didn't require you to do like a large amount of backtracking. Like, it's not like, oh, I found this safe, but like 10 miles
you missed
from
the
here,
safe code 2
miles
hours
from
ago
here, or I'm going to get to the safe code, and then I have to come back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was always in the general area, so that helped with it. So I enjoyed the story for the most part. There were some things that I could have done without, but without spoilers, that's neither here nor there, but that's how it is. So
Absolutely.
what about the visuals for The Last of Us 2? How'd you feel about that?
Like, just jaw dropping, right? Like, I can't even believe it sometimes. Like, some of those scenes walking through the forest, man, I just couldn't believe the detail. And somehow it feels open and closed at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like I'm walking through a forest, and I feel like I can turn right and start running this direction, or turn left and start running this direction, or every which way. And then eventually somehow I end up at the point that they want me at.
Right.
I don't know how they do that, but it's brilliant. So it makes it feel real and open, even though it's not.
Right.
And man, you can see the care they took in how every rock is there for a reason. Every crack in a wall is there for a reason. Every broken down skeleton of a building is built in such a way to either be explored or stay away from, right? Like, but it's obvious too, like, without being obvious, right? Mm-hmm. Throwing a rock at a window and breaking it through and then going in to explore it, like, feels so real in the way it looks. I can't say enough about the visuals. For me, this game doesn't just do visuals a little better than most games. It does visuals a lot better than most games. Yeah, it sets up a new bar. It's better looking than Last of Us 1, which, of course, we're on a next generation console. Right. But it's just, they take it up a notch, even from the original Last of Us.
Even from the remastered copy.
Even from the yeah, that was kind of made for like the PS4, right? Like, it's even better looking than that. The detail is every bit as rich. Or maybe even better than like Red Dead Redemption 2. And I think this game looks better than Red Dead Redemption 2. Of course, Red Dead Redemption 2 is an open world game.
Right.
But this game looks better. I just can't believe it. Some of those scenes when you're looking out over the mountains and the sunset are just jaw dropping. This gets the highest of achievement here.
Right. Yeah. I really enjoyed the visuals. I like it tremendously when you can go from a cutscene to gameplay. And you're like, oh, I can move now? Like, you didn't even know? You know what I mean? Like, it's no blackout, and then, you have, you can start moving or anything like that. It's just like, oh, like, I there's been plenty of times where
I was walking?
Yeah.
That was part of this. Yeah.
There's, like, plenty of times where I've been, like, maneuvering through, like, some brushes or something like that. And then I hit, like, a threshold, and I'm still pressing forward. But the character is, like, moving a certain way, and then it's like, oh, I can let go of the thumbstick now. Like, cause I'm not controlling her anymore.
Right.
Like, she's going on her own.
And it's seamless.
Yeah. So I like that. Looking at the facial expressions that are constantly going.
Yes.
When you're killing somebody, when they're dying, their facial expressions to yours, the hand movements of franticness, on top of, the determination and the grit that person has, whether you're playing with Ellie or Abby.
Dude, seeing someone die too. Like, like you said, you pan the camera around and you see all the emotion, not just in Ellie's like face, but in like the person who's dying's face.
Yeah, you see the worry.
It makes me.
They're grasping.
It almost makes me guilty.
Yeah,
like what I'm doing, right? Like, it's incredible.
And it's kind of like I almost have to like second guess myself. Like, dude, are you sick? Like, why are you? Like, like you're sitting there watching this person's life, come from a...
Yeah, it makes you question yourself.
You almost feel like you're watching somebody like really die, you know what I mean? But it's definitely, I just love how everything is detailed like that. I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that, for the most part, notes that if I pick them up, I could look at them without having to click the read button, and I could read them because they were that, it was that defined on the screen. And some games don't do that, like Oblivion. It might just look like a bunch of jumbled up mess on the paper. And
no, that's like a super great point. Or like in Oblivion where it's always a book.
Right.
Like in this, it was notes, and sometimes they were crumbled, right? Sometimes they were dirty.
Sometimes they were written in crayon.
Yeah, written in crayon. Sometimes dinner was spilled on them. Like they even in the notes, right? They took so much heart and effort to make everything feel real.
Yeah, and so that was awesome. That was like another
Incredible.
part of the story and things like that. But all of those those attentions to details, the windows that you have to pay attention to, like, okay, that's like a real clear glass. I wonder if I can break that and get in there.
Right.
Like, can I
you
see
can
in there?
sometimes, right?
Sometimes you can see in there. Sometimes you can just break stuff, but you just can't get in there. And it's like, dang, or maybe there was a way, but I just didn't find it out.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of things that just make you want to like play with stuff. You know what I mean? I didn't quite realize that you should just take chances and throw things at stuff just because I was like sitting in a building, at one point in time trying to figure out how to get around a locked door, and the window was blown open. There was a hole in the window, but I'd have to like get around the outside and over the
somehow
thing,
figure out a way.
Yeah.
Right?
And I didn't realize the simple way of getting over there. I thought I was close to it, but I didn't think, let me throw that, break this, and I'll be able to like, throw my little rope over and get up in there. So that type of stuff is like, it's cool. Cause it's like, oh damn, I could literally just have broken that. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking that, that's not going to break, that maybe I have to do this part right here, but it was just simple glass.
And it's like real world problem solving, right? Like something you would think of doing in real life.
Yeah. Just a little ingenuity.
Yeah. Just a little ingenuity. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think they did a great job.
We appreciate all those details. They make the game better.
Right.
I think they're worth it.
Yeah. So
as much work as it is.
So, the game, the biggest thing is gameplay.
Right.
So, how'd you feel about that?
Really good. For the most part, right? Like I loved Ellie's gameplay the best, like I loved the stealth. There's still like the major super tension that The Last of Us has when you're walking into a building and there's 15 clickers and you're like got to navigate through it and systematically try to take guys out as best you can. I love that gameplay.
Right.
And I also really love how no matter how strong you get, it's still deadly. Like no matter what new items you collect, no matter what weapons you upgrade.
Yeah, it's all irrelevant. Like you can get got at any point.
You can get got at any point in the game. Even at the end when you've collected and you've upgraded everything. You can get got. One wrong move and you're dead. Like you still have to think about that, consider that as you move through the world. The gunplay could have used a little bit of help. It wasn't the best gun mechanics, but it's okay because I didn't really use the gun mechanics too much.
No, what was your specialty?
My specialty was sneaking around for sure, and then I did occasionally use the silenced gun. I don't think I almost ever, not once, really pulled out the hunting rifle. Like I upgraded it all the way, but like I never pulled it out.
Interesting.
Occasionally I pulled out the single shot heavy hit pistol.
Okay.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
But I really like to stick with the
bow,
the sneaking and melee weapons. So like my number one thing was always trying to find a melee weapon and upgrade the melee weapon because it would like one shot guys really fast.
So did you upgrade it immediately, or did you just kind of like wait a little bit and then till it like diminishes in durability and then upgrade?
So here's the thing that frustrated me at times. I would find a decent weapon and I'd want to like use its durability up.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'd be impatient, so I'd upgrade it immediately.
Right.
And then I would come across a much better melee weapon that had a lot more durability.
And
I just upgraded this trash, so I kind of want to use its durability, but kind of remember where it's at.
Right.
So I had that conundrum at times. But I did enjoy the melee. I liked how it felt, like when they came at you, you could dodge and then strike back, or as the clickers are coming at you, you can one-shot some of them with the melee weapon. So my approach was more physical than weapons, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the gameplay a lot as well. I found the weapons were fun to use. Some were kind of frustrating. Like I had a little bit of a hard time getting off my silenced handgun sometimes because I felt like it just, like I might like slightly miss
So that
or
was the
something like
opposite.
that, and then it wouldn't.
You
it
like
wouldn't
the
put in
bow.
work.
I liked the silenced handgun.
Yeah. So the bow put in mad work for me. And I found myself using like everything. Like if it was just that type of party where they already knew I was there because like my silencer ran out and I just had to empty the clip on the guy, cause I just was bad at the shot or something or he was doing too much. Then I'm pulling out the heavy guns and I'm zooming in and I'm scoping heads off. You know what I mean?
never
Like
did
real
that.
nice. The one shot, the pistol, the one pistol, that put in work for me. It got me out of a lot of tight situations. You could just aim and click and they were done. You know what I mean? It didn't matter like how much damage. You didn't even have to do the ultimate damage output on it. You could just hit a clicker one time with it and he's going to lay down. You could hit a person one time with it and they were gone.
See, I got a lot
You could
of
shoot them in the leg and they were done.
I got a whole lot of work in that regard from the shotgun. The shotgun was like my number one go-to weapon.
The shotgun
was a
put in
shotgun
work.
because
Yeah.
I maxed that damage out immediately,
Right.
and that was my coup de grace, as you would say.
For sure. Yeah. But as far as the weapons were concerned, the crafting, I enjoyed all of that stuff. I kind of wish that there was more crafting material so I could have got my stuff up, but they deliberately said that you would have to play it twice in order to fully level up your guys. I did feel like Abby was really quick to getting her stuff leveled up a lot faster.
I found more materials
Yeah,
with
yeah,
her,
at
like
that
like they were
point in
trying to
time.
shower me with stuff. Like,
Right.
yeah,
But
it
I
was
think
weird.
that was just to
Get you in there.
show her ferocity.
Yeah, and get you in there.
and get you
'Cause you went
get you
from,
to
like-
the same level as Ellie.
Yeah, you went through all this work to get Ellie up, and now you start over again. They wanted to get you right back into the game quicker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I didn't disagree with it. I mean, it was okay. But yeah. So, with that being said, right. Kind of thinking about the storyline, the visuals, and the gameplay altogether. What would you, Sir Knight, rate this game?
Yeah, to me, this is, in a lot of regards, just the absolute very definition of a masterpiece. I don't see how anyone who hasn't played this game and sat down with it and experienced it, the detail, the visuals, the way they tell the story,
Okay.
the exciting gameplay, could call this anything short of a masterpiece in those regards. But it's not quite a 10 for me just because it's not. The story has its failings. The story has its mistakes. That I wasn't happy with how certain things played out. That I thought they did better in The Last of Us 1. Even if they're going to change things up on me, the storytelling, the narrative still wasn't as strong as The Last of Us 1 was.
Right.
In how they endeared me to certain characters. They really failed in that regard. Some characters were forgettable. Some characters I didn't care about. They really messed up. And so because of that, this game is just shy of a masterpiece, but it's right there for me. I would give this something around the 9.8, 9.5.
Okay.
Right, 9.5, yeah.
All right. Yeah. I feel close to how you feel about the game. I enjoyed it thoroughly, from beginning to end, with a couple of, lows in there, but
Yeah.
not that many. This game was great. I definitely feel like, regardless of, the little things that I can nitpick on, as far as like story is concerned, or maybe that I wanted more exploration, in it. Besides those things, I still feel like it set the bar for every other game after it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to do something similar to this, you better have played that game, looked at it, and just seen how you could possibly make it
Yeah.
better than this. Because
It's the standard
it's
setter.
always going to be
Yeah.
what you compare it to. You know what I mean? When you, like, anytime you looked at an Uncharted game after The Last of Us came out, it's like, damn, is this better than, and it's the same company.
Yeah.
So that's just what happens. We get certain games and then, that sets the bar for it. And this is obvious that this sets the bar. So people should be aware of it, really aware. Like there's
Yeah.
no way you could just pass this up. I mean, it was one of the fastest, selling games, for the PS4.
Right.
At
Ever.
the time.
It's like
and
4
whatnot.
million in a weekend.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So it did great numbers. with the story, you know, I love that. You know, with a couple of things, the visual, superb. It trounces everything that's out, you know, and probably will come out for a little bit of time left. And the gameplay, you know, was good. It was outstanding. You know what I mean? I liked the crouching and, you know, and the hunting those clickers, you know, before they could get me. And then I liked the really intense moments where it's just like the struggle is real and you got to figure something out, you know, in quick time. I enjoyed those things. But, you know, all in all, I wouldn't give it a 9.5 or a 10. I would give it like a 9.
Okay.
And that's just because of some little story issues here and there. By all means, I'm not on the level of trying to give it a 1 for a Metacritic or anything like that, you know, a user critic or anything. You know, I loved the game. But there's a couple of things that I wish they could have changed differently, and we'll go in depth in that in another talk.
When we did the initial impressions, I was a 10. I think we were both a 10 at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
But after seeing some of the things, because we weren't even halfway through the game at that point, seeing some of the things they did, it did sour us a little. You a little more than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, we'll go over those things more detailed on our spoiler review.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, so there you have it. This was a We Love Gaming Duality review. I'm Godly Sovereign.
Sir Knight.
And we'll catch you guys on the next review. I think we're going to do the Ghost of Tsushima. So stay tuned.
Peace.
This is
I love you, me.